And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. Want to thank you for joining us on this Friday, this third Friday in December, right before Christmas. Happy Merry Christmas to everybody. Jeez.
Sure feels like that, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? Man, well, I'll tell you what, and I always like to look at the positive side of things, is we didn't get the worst of it here in the FM area. There's a little donut, maybe about 20-mile radius around the FM area, which got only about 1 to 3 inches of snow, where most everybody else got 4 to 6 or even more. If you want to know how much snow your area got, log on to WDAYradionow.com, click on that weather link, and I posted an article on there of how much snow fell. Generally, it was right around a foot in the Northern Valley, northwest Minnesota, down towards Cooperstown. Picked up anywhere between 6 and 10 inches. I think I saw Grand Forks, around 7.5, Justin?
Yeah, and that's compacted down to about 5 now.
It doesn't take long, does it? Yeah, all the roadways.
No, not with 2 inches of slush underneath it.
Yeah, all the roadways are starting to melt off, so conditions will improve. Still some snow showers on radar out there, but additional accumulation, nothing to worry about, and just windy, chilly conditions all the way through the weekend. Slightly warmer weather next week, but still no bargain. Where's the 60s? Heck.
South Dakota, Nebraska.
Even 50s.
Wyoming.
Yeah.
Our livestock producers are asking the same question because it's gotten so wet and sloppy. Now you've got cattle that have just recently calved. You can't even turn them out onto dry ground pasture because everything's covered in wet and slush. And there are highs in the next few nights, somewhere around 10 to 15 degrees. That's not ideal for new calves and wet and mud. So that's not going to be great.
No. But we do see warmer temperatures next week. And by warmer, still below normal, but at least 40s and a few 50s. But Justin, and if you disagree with me, go ahead and pipe up. You're fired if you do. You're fired if you do. But this should be our last accumulating snow in terms of that's going to pose any problems. Agree?
I sure hope so.
Yeah, he's not willing to go out on that limb yet. It looks like it. There's one more storm according to the LRC towards the end of the month. Looks like that'll be rain. I can't rule out mixing in some wet snow on the backside of it, but in terms of accumulating snow or anything of this magnitude, this should be it. And you know what? It's we've got Jim Ueland, our farmer. He's going to be our special guest today, and we'll be talking about what about going out in the fields. And Jim said he didn't get out last year until the end of May. Oh, let's hope. And I'll tell you what, the only good news is after next week's storm, it looks like we should start to go in a drier period of the LRC cycle. So we should start to warm up a little bit and see at least some more consistent spring-like temperatures.
Look, I'd like to mention that you asked Justin for his opinion on how it's going to look, but you didn't ask me. So I'm going to be traveling next week, right?
Oh, we're doomed.
So
when are you traveling?
That's what I thought I'd check.
Where are you going?
Tuesday, I'm headed to Rock Lake, North Dakota.
You're
Extra
fine.
Points for those of you who know where that's at.
You're fine on Tuesday.
Okay, wait, let me look at the rest of the calendar for
You said you were going to Rock
April.
Lake?
Rock Lake, yes.
Is that next to Pebble Lake?
Then, no, but it's not as far as Boulder. Ha ha! There you go.
See what you did there. I like it.
I did. That's the biggest one that I'll be heading out to is going to be Rock Lake next week. The rest are a little closer. So thanks, guys.
So you should be okay.
No problem.
Okay.
Oh, you're right. Oh, Rock Lake. Yeah, that's right off of 281 there.
Well, to the north, like if you hit Canada, you should turn around and come back because you went just a little too far. And by just a little bit, I mean really not hardly much at all too far. Yeah,
what is out in Rock Lake? Boy, you talk about the middle of nowhere. Ooh.
I will be at a seed meeting next week. We're going to be talking about soybeans.
Excellent.
Will you get the inside scoop on our crop for the year? Or?
We'll find out, and especially when we talk with our farmer today who's in studio with Dean, Jim Ueland. Jim is part of our project called Here We Grow, as we are planting soybeans and then taking our profitability, fingers crossed for all the profit, and we're going to be donating that to the Great Plains Food Bank. But along the lines of education, I got a couple things for you guys. And I know we're adults, usually.
Most
That's maybe
days.
not how our behavior
Most
indicates.
days.
But there were some things that I came across today that I thought were awesome, and if only we could all be attending. First of all, for any teachers who are listening, if you get the opportunity, there is a program called Adopt a Cow for elementary schools. And if you want the links to sign up and join, you can certainly email me, ag@flagfamily.com, and I'll send you all the information. Or if you need to make a call, and let me know on the Red Wing Shoe phone line, that's 701-293-9000. What this Adopt a Cow program is, it's for dairy farms. There are farms in Minnesota and Wisconsin. They're the closest ones to us that are participating. Students get pictures. They follow the life of a calf throughout their year. They get to name it and get video. Then they do a live chat with their farmer and answer questions, and they get to see what's going on the farm. So Adopt a Cow, I don't know, I do it.
That
Sounds
is
like a great
super
idea
cool.
That sounds great.
to me.
What's the age limit?
Elementary schools. Yep, they can do that. Now,
physically or mentally? Asking for a friend.
Again, that's why
Asking for a friend.
I know.
Asking for
That's
a friend.
why it's hard. It's really hard to determine if any one of us can go. But then on top of that, I've got another one. Just got to flip pages here. And this is if you are 18 and older. University of Wyoming is holding an internship program. If you want to work on a cow-calf operation or sheep operation, you get housing and meals included. You get a $5,000 stipend. It's kind of like student teaching, right? You're going to do this for several months. But while you're doing that, you're earning college credit because you're filling out reports, doing all the background work. Some might call it a way to get farm labor, but for those who have participated, and by the way, also if you are a veteran or in an underserved program, please apply. They're looking for folks just like you. You're going to take this as college credit. You're going to take that information and apply it to your own operation when you are now raising your own sheep or cattle. So I thought that was a pretty cool deal. Anything from moving animals, calving, lambing, welding, vehicle repair, even aviation. Because out in Wyoming, you have some farms that do have small planes to use on their operations. So this is, again, through the University of Wyoming. Pretty cool.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Hey, in terms of snow there, Bridgette, how much snow would you estimate you got up in Hunter?
I'd bet we're in that 5 to 6 inch mark,
Yeah.
but there's quite a bit. It's slushy north of me, especially as you go towards Justin. You saw more roads that were no travel advised due to the heavy slush and snow. There were times yesterday that I think folks noticed a lot of whiteout conditions. I'd be curious to hear if anyone is seeing drifting on the highways, even though it's very wet. Is anything moving or have the highways cleaned off? If you're on the road and you want to give us a road report, you can do that at 701-293-9000.
Yeah, and I noticed even here in town we had a few small pillow drifts in the parking lot. And typically, if we're getting pillow drifts in our parking lot, then you can multiply that out in the country. So yeah. I'm guessing there was at least some out there. But conditions have been improving. Taking a look at our road map right now, and conditions scattered ice as you go north of Hillsboro up towards Grand Forks. But other than that, conditions improving rapidly. And you know what? Even with it cloudy, you get that April sunshine, the insulation, even through the clouds, will quickly melt off or compact the snow. It'll melt it off quickly on roadways and parking lots. Even with it cloudy and temperatures at or below freezing, it doesn't take much with that April sun. So we'll quickly melt this off. You'll be surprised how fast, even in the areas that got quite a bit of snow, this will melt off pretty quickly next week. And a lot of this should soak right in. So a lot of good subsoil moisture with this, which is good news.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
well, it will be subsoil once it's inside. Yes.
Once, right?
Okay, so interesting to note, you guys. I thought this was important, and we should probably, as we talk about even our own farming project this year, you know, there's always a line item for expenses, and one of those line items that farmers are adding more and more to their ROI is the cost of electricity for tiles. So you have a pump at the end of your drain tile to pump your excess water off.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a farmer tell me yesterday, his line item for that is $15 per acre for the electricity just to run his tile pumps, because they've been running most of the winter due to the fact that we didn't have much of a frost, if anything at all. So that's an expense people have to remember to factor in.
Wow.
For those that have the drain tile, what's the average size of those farms? Are they drain tiling an entire 1,000-acre farm, or is this more like 350?
Well, that's going to be a good question for us to talk about with Jim when he joins us in our next segment. But I think it's fair to say, and I'm going to ask Jim to dispute me if I'm wrong here, it's going to depend on your field size more or less versus your farm. You're going to look at your individual piece of ground. Is it an 80? Is it a full half section? What's the productivity on it? If you have areas of the field that really don't grow a crop, but would be more productive with the drain tile, you have to do the ROI on that and balance it out. Should I spend the money or not? So I don't think necessarily as much farm size as your field conditions and needs, if that makes sense, Justin.
That does, and that kind of goes to a point that we made a few weeks ago. One of our ag topics was solar-powered drain tiles or something along the lines of that, where they were using the solar panels to charge the pumps or to power them.
Yep, we were powering pumps, but also irrigation systems. So if you have more remote systems that it's harder to get power to them, you can do that. And we see it a lot in more developing countries where they don't have the infrastructure for electricity, and they're going to use those solar panels in order to power the irrigation system to pump water, if that makes sense too. Yeah.
It does. And I got one more before we head to break to get Jim all squared away with us. And this is something that came across my my feed while I was scrolling through social media, and I think I know the answer to it. But up here in the Midwest, there's been a lot of reports of loons falling out of the sky, and once if they're not in water, they can't get back in the air because their legs are so far back on their body, and they land in these muddy fields and they get stuck there and eventually die. Is that related to the bird flu, or have you heard anything about that?
Well, tell me if you and I are on the same page. I would venture a guess it has more to do with the bird flu than anything else. And I'm sorry for the look on my face of laughter, but I just thought it's bad enough that the tractors are stuck, but now the loons are getting stuck in mud. This is ridiculous. Everything's going to get stuck in mud and snow. But what do you think, Justin?
Sure is. I was thinking it was the bird flu, and they really didn't have an answer in these videos I was watching. They thought it was something else or some. I'm not entirely sure what they were trying to allude for, but the whole thing that was going through my mind is like, don't they know there's like a big bird flu thing going on last year and this year?
There is. And now our numbers this spring are actually down than what they were a year ago at this time, but we can't shut the door to biosecurity. We still have to be very careful, especially with our commercial flax, as we're really just rebuilding them back after last year's bird flu. So folks, more discussion to come. We are going to get our guest ready. That's going to be Jim Ueland. He is our farmer project coordinator and cooperator for Here We Grow, our 20 acres of soybeans. And we'll talk to Jim. All of our questions can be answered right after this.
It's the Let There Be Rock tribute concert to AC/DC, Poison, and ZZ Top. Saturday, April 22nd at the Bismarck Event Center. AC/DC by Bonfire. Bonfire's perfect recreation of AC/DC is amazing. A shot of Poison. This Poison tribute band is the real deal. And ZZ3, the best ZZ Top tribute band in the country. Doors open at 6 and the show starts at 7. Get your VIP packages, artist choice seating map and tickets at the Bismarck Event Center box office. Friday, April 21st. Or call now and buy over the phone. 800-514-3849. The Let There Be Rock tributes to AC/DC, Poison, and ZZ Top. April 22nd at the Bismarck Event Center. 800-514-3849. Don't miss it.
In this area, when spring comes, we work hard so we can play hard. And in the center of it all, ready for all kinds of weather, 4 seasons of the year, is an all-wheel drive Subaru. Check out all the new Subaru models today. Hey, claim one of Muscatel Subaru's incoming models, and you can enjoy Subaru's safety and reliability that much sooner. Muscatel Subaru, just off the interstate in Moorhead, or online at muscatelsubaru.com. Subaru, built to last.
What do eyewear and weather have in common? Join us for the Aspire Optical Eye on the Sky weekly weather forecast to find out. Each Tuesday morning, Dean Wysocki, Justin Storm, and myself, Ashley Freeborn, owner of Aspire Optical, will bring you the 7-day forecast.
You never know where we'll be or how it will be presented, but we promise to bring you the most accurate forecast this side of the Red River.
And learn how you can save big on eyewear from Aspire Optical.
Watch the Aspire Optical Eye on the Sky weekly weather forecast on our Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter pages.
Trust us, this is weather and eyewear like you've never seen.
Hey guys, it's Matt Lehman and Mike Wolski from Fargo Roofing and Siding.
If you have been thinking about replacing your roof, now is the time.
Our project managers will help you select the best materials with the best warranties to create a roof you will love at a price that will fit your budget.
Fargo Roofing and Siding also offers financing so that you can have affordable monthly payments on any job. Our spring schedule is filling up fast, so call to schedule your free estimate today or visit us online at fargoroofing.com.
Fargo Roofing and Siding.
Do you love working on cars but don't love your current job? If so, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Matthew Carlson, owner of Fix It Forward Auto Care. We're a family-owned full-service auto repair shop looking to hire skilled automotive technicians. With our state-of-the-art shops, great work environment with competitive pay and benefits, you'll enjoy a great job with a bigger purpose and a lot of opportunity for advancement. Visit FixItForwardAutoCare.com to apply. Fix It Forward Auto Care, the name you trust for car repair.
Fix It Forward Auto Care. Today would be a great day to treat your smile for charity. Dr. Jeff and the team at Designer Smiles invite you to whiten your teeth for charity, with all proceeds going to the Smiles for Life Foundation, helping children locally and abroad. Take-home whitening trays are just $199. That's right, just $199. Or the in-office whitening is $399. For details, call 701-298-9400. 298-9400. Treat your smile for charity with Dr. Jeff and the team from Designer Smiles.
Hi, it's Lon from Irie Insurance. Soon we'll swap snow for summertime. Boat rides and water skiing, camping in the RV, swimming in the backyard pool, or even a few rounds of golf. Unfortunately, these activities come with increased risks and sadly, accidents happen. Having the proper insurance can protect you from theft, damage, liability, and more. Experience the Irie difference. Let Irie Insurance take care of your summer risks. To find a location near you, visit us at IrieInsurance.com.
And welcome back to WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Bridgette, Readel, Ag Director, along with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki and Meteorologist Extraordinaire Justin Storm. And even more importantly today, we are joined in studio by a guest. That would be Jim Ueland. Jim is going to be our farmer cooperator for our Here We Grow project. And Jim, I have a message for you that came in by email. Tyler, he is out of Grand Forks heading westbound on Highway 2. He said the wind is blowing and the snow is sticky. But also, Jim, give Tyler a call if you need any help. He said he knows Jim and has done work for him with Legacy. Well, couldn't quite hear if it was Legacy Grain or Drain, but nonetheless, sounds like you may have an extra set of farm hands if you need them.
I would guess it's with the tiling company because we've tiled quite a bit of land lately, and I can't remember all the people's names, but that would be my guess.
I think that would be a guess too. And oh man, we're gonna have questions about tiling pretty soon. But first of all, Jim, tell us about you and your farm. What can we know about you?
Well, I'm a first generation American. Actually, my parents came here from Norway. Both of them grew up in Norway and immigrated here, and just worked different jobs and got opportunity to farm. And next thing I know, when they retired, I had 5 brothers and a sister, and I was the only one that was really a diehard. Some of the others loved farming, but they didn't like the debts and different things that go along with bigger scale farming. So I kind of ended up, I was the only one that took over in our area.
Well, that's not a bad thing, though. I mean, it's good to see someone with that much dedication who certainly wants to be a part of the operation. And, we're asking a lot. We're doing this project with you, and what motivates you to want to be a part of such a crazy scheme as letting the 3 of us job shadow you, if you will, for the whole summer, about 20 acres of soybeans?
Well, when Steve Hallstrom first confronted me with it, I really don't like being in the limelight, or I'd rather be a nobody. But one of the things that appealed to me was trying to educate the public about food production. I think we mentioned that one other time, but that was the main reason why I was willing to participate, because I'd rather not do these type of things, but feel that all of us farmers and mainstream farming feel that the public has a gross misrepresentation of how farming is being done these days, about safety and all kinds of things. So that was kind of the main way that he hooked me into this.
And Jim, what do you think is the biggest misrepresentation that the public doesn't see when it comes to farming?
I think it's the science behind the safety of food and stuff. There seems to a lot of the people I know are really, they think everything is bad in the food system and we should go back to farming the way it was in the 40s or 50s. And if that was the way farming is, we'd be using much more fuel and much more erosion, because farming has really come a long way to be better for the environment and climate. And but somehow the message is just out there totally opposite, that it'd be better farming the way we did in the 50s. So that's, I guess, my mainstay that I see when I visit with people.
And that would be really hard to go back and do, just simply in the fact that there's not enough farmers to produce food in that way. We've just had such a change in labor where now less than 2% of all Americans are directly involved in farming. Any thoughts to that, you guys?
Oh, yeah. I probably wouldn't be farming if we were still farming the way it was in the 40s and 50s, because it was way too labor intensive. We grew up that way, and at the time it was appropriate, but now we have so much technology that we don't need to do the hard physical labor. Now it's more of a economic and educational manner to figure out how to make a farm pay. But I guess, like I said, if it was the way it was back then, I wouldn't be too interested in farming.
It's a fair statement.
It is. And, there's been a big push, and we've spoke with a few people about soil health and environmental health and regenerative farming. And there's been a big push for that with the safety and the science of your soil health and the environment around it. And you'd kind of touched on just a little bit, but what do you think about that whole push for more soil and environmental, not security, but health? How do you feel about that? What's your thoughts on it?
Well, the way we are farming now, we're all pursuing regenerative farming, no matter what way it is, because most of us have families that we hope. I have a son that's farming with me, and I want to leave the land in better shape for him than it was when I got it. And everything we do is to try to make the farm better, because the better it is, the better it's going to produce, and it's to regenerate itself. It's a new term that's really coming out, but most farmers that I know, that's their number one goal, is to make it regenerative and to continue on, so the next generations will be able to eat as well as we do, and we're not trying to destroy our ground like a lot of the theories are out there that say we're killing our soil and stuff. But man, our soil is so much more productive. We're growing astronomical numbers more of food from less acres, and it's just amazing to me when I look at it, our production compared to the past.
And Jim, one of our farmers up in Saskatchewan, he's got a big YouTube channel, and he's posted some YouTube videos on how the Canadian government is imposing all these carbon taxes on these farmers, and it's really, it's putting a pinch on them. Now, are you worried that something like that would happen here in the United States, with maybe like with the new farm bill?
Yes, I am, because Canada's starting to limit fertilizer for their producers, how much they can put on. And there was a country, I think it was Sri Lanka, a year or two ago.
Yes.
They cut their fertilizer mandates by government. You could only put so much on, but their food production went down, I think, to about 60% of the previous number. And their food prices skyrocketed because of less. And all of a sudden, within about 6 months, the government changed their mandate and didn't cut out the fertilizer like they had planned to do permanently.
Mm.
Yep, and it tremendously damaged their entire economy. If you look at the country of Sri Lanka right now, they are actually struggling for basic needs for most of their folks, because just what Jim said, by making those government cuts that look good on paper, they're actually hurting people physically for their health.
So what could we do as, just the general public, call our representatives saying, hey, if something like this passes, it might look good on paper, but it's going to kill our economy. It's going to kill the farmers.
We're starting to feel that type of pressure from the EPA with regulating chemicals, and even they're theorizing on fertilizer cuts. I think that's in the future works. So it's very important that we all talk to our congressmen and let them know what's, because the EPA, a lot of their stuff works good in theory, but in the real world it doesn't work that good. And so I would just encourage everybody to stay in touch with their congressman and don't let EPA run wild on some of the theories that they're proposing, because it seems like there's a lot of environmentalists, which they have their good points and stuff, but seems like they're out to have a vendetta against farming, and they want to limit how we're going to do things in the future.
Right. And Jim, our state is so big with agriculture, and I'm not entirely sure. And whenever I'm not sure about this, I only imagine that a good majority of our listeners are as well. When it comes to our senators and congressmen here in North Dakota, do you know where they stand on that? Are they for or against something like that?
Well, we're pretty fortunate in North Dakota that we have a good conservative base, and all the politicians that I know of in the state, they're very supportive of modern agriculture, and they shake their heads too at a lot of the regulations that are proposed and stuff. So in North Dakota, I'd say we're very fortunate. In Minnesota, it's somewhat of a different story, but I'm not going to go into politics on that.
Less government is usually good. It's usually for the better. So
amen.
Yeah, but we're at the bottom of the hour, so we're going to have to pay some bills here. If you have any questions for Jim, shoot us a call on our Red Wing Shoes hotline, 701-293-9000. That's 701-293-9000. Or you can email us, weather@flagfamily.com or ag@flagfamily.com. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Get your golf game ready for the season or learn to play at Sweet Shots in Fargo. It may not be perfect spring conditions outside yet, but you could still go to the Sweet Shots Golf Academy and get a lesson to tune up your game or schedule a time for you or your kids to learn the game. They have the Putt View high-tech putting green and can get you fitted for just the right set of clubs to improve your game. Get your game in peak condition at the Sweet Shots Golf Academy. Details at sweetshots.com or see their Facebook page.
Nancy Kelly Realty is here for you. We would love to show you around. Looking for the simplicity of country living? Then welcome home to Colfax Meadows in Colfax, North Dakota. An easy 25-minute drive from Fargo or Wahpeton. We have half and 1 acre lots starting at $22,500 with a 2-year tax exemption on new homes and low specials. Build your dream home, raise a family, or retire in the country. Colfax Meadows has a place for you. Find us at nancykellyrealty.com.
Old Man Winter's moving on out, and it's time to put a spring back in your step. Hi, Teresa here from the local Red Wings shoe store, and I'm here to tell you that Red Wings are not only for hardworking individuals. We've got footwear for every occasion, and here at Red Wings Shoes, we have partnered with Volumental and Superfeet to offer 3D printed orthotics. So stop on in and check it out for yourself at 3003 Main Avenue in Fargo. Red Wings Shoes for ultimate durability.
Plains Grain and Agronomy Cooperative is looking for a full-time, self-motivated, organized professional to operate and maintain their agronomy plant and grain facilities, knowledge of agricultural commodities and services, and an ability to lift 50 pounds, safely and effectively handle products when loading and offloading according to company guidelines. Plains Grain and Agronomy has a great work culture, pay, and full benefits. For more details and to apply, go online to plainsgrain.com. That's plainsgrain.com.
Foston Tri-Co-op is hiring an agronomy manager. Must have sales and agronomy experience, able to sell crop protection, fertilizer, and chemicals. College degree in agronomy or equal experience is preferred. Enjoy competitive salary and benefits including health, long-term disability, dental, life insurance, HAS, paid vacation, and retirement match and profit sharing. Email resume to jen.howard@fostoncoop.com or call 218-435-6919 and ask for Brent. Foston Tri-Co-op, hiring an agronomy manager, and it could be you.
Imagine it's the last ride, but your symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, are taking you for a ride. What should you do? Keep managing your constipation with belly pain the same old way? Or try getting ahead of your symptoms by talking to your doctor about treating it with Linzess, linaclotide. Linzess is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually.
Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling.
Imagine, what could relief from IBS-C mean for you? Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
I'm Howard Mackler, founder of Innovation Refunds. You've heard me talking about the payroll tax refund for months. If you own a business, even if you've asked your CPA about this, you owe it to yourself to take another look. We provide a licensed and insured tax attorney who evaluates your company at my expense to determine eligibility. Businesses of all types can qualify, so go to getrefunds.com to potentially get a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. Download the Innovation Refunds app or go to getrefunds.com, getrefunds.com.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for rejoining us. It's 1:36 on this Friday afternoon. I'm meteorologist Justin Storm with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki and Ag Director Bridgette Readel. And our guest today is Jim Ueland, and he is our partner with the Here We Grow campaign that we're going to be doing. And for those just joining or haven't heard, we all are renting 20 acres of land from Jim to raise a soybean crop this year, and it's going to be it'll be an experience for Dean and I. Bridgette's a little more familiar with it, and I think better yet, it's going to be a learning experience for everybody. And if you want to follow along with that project, you can follow us on YouTube. Just search Weather and Ag in Focus. We'll be dropping weekly videos on there. Now, Jim, before we introduced you on the show in our second segment, we were talking about an ag topic on the prices of electricity for pumping water out with drain tile, and it was estimated to be around $15 per acre. And it brought up a question, well, how big are these fields that drain tile is being put in? Is it every field? Are they 1,000 acres? Are they 50 acres? Or does it kind of come down to spots that water is a little more prevalent than others? So I wanted to ask you, on your perspective, when it comes to drain tile, what are the sizes of those fields or operations that are generally getting this drain tile put in?
Well, in our area, the drain tile usually covers the whole field because our fields are really flat, so we don't have a specific problem spot normally. So we'll drain tile the whole field, and it's basically what you own. If it's an 80-acre field or a 320-acre or 160-acre, those common multiples, we'll drain tile the whole field. I'm fortunate that a lot of the fields that I've drain tiled are close to drains that are deep enough or rivers that we can drain tile right into, so we don't need a lift station for the electricity. But I have two fields that have lift stations in them, and the electricity there, the last few years, the drain tile hasn't run steadily, so I would estimate my cost would be maybe $5 to $10 an acre over the year. But if we stay real wet like this spring and they run steady, it could easily be $15 or more an acre for electricity. But like I say, we do gravity as much as possible, and we've been fortunate to do a lot that way.
Right. And for those who aren't too familiar with that, what is a lift station? Is that just where you pump the water to a higher elevation and then it flows off somewhere? Yeah,
it's pretty much like your sump pump in a house. It's a culvert down in the ground that the drain tile runs into. Most of the drain tile is about 4 or 5 feet in the ground and drains into this tile or this vertical culvert. And then there's a big pump in the bottom of that that'll lift it up about a couple of feet above the ground, and then it dumps into a regular ditch that wouldn't be deep enough for the gravity to flow into.
I see. And then I wanted to switch gears a little bit to the operation that we're all going to be doing with you and with your experience and guidance, teaching Dean and I how to actually farm. I have an idea, but it's nothing like farming on a computer, so it's going to be fun to actually get out there in the field. But we're going to be growing soybean, but what kind of variety of soybean are we going to be growing this year?
Well, I have 3 different variety or companies I usually get seed from, but this year the field that you're renting is going to be Peterson Farm seed, and I am not specific yet on which variety because I have different maturities, and it'll kind of depend on when we get in the field. If it's up to the first or end of May, I'll probably grow an 08 maturity, and if it starts getting into June, it'll be an 05 variety, and we'll generally plant the 05 up till about the middle of June in our area. If it gets later than that even, we'll go down to a 00 variety probably. But as you cut your variety, you normally cut your yield. So you like the fuller season is about a 08 in our area.
Mm-hmm. And will we have to worry about any? Oh, you can go ahead, Bridgette.
One just quick question in there. I don't want this to be the case, Jim, but what's the latest you've ever planted soybeans? I had some last year around July 5th, so I don't know if you were in that neighborhood.
I've planted up to the 3rd of July, and usually it's a replant, not an original plant. It's planting out where part of a field will drown out or something, and we'll plant. And then generally their yield is probably about a third to a half of a good crop when you're planting that late.
I see. Will there be any need to worry about any disease traits in these soybeans, such as a tolerance to white mold or anything else like that for this upcoming season?
White mold can be a concern, but it's usually more in fields that are circled with trees or whatever, where you don't get as much air movement. And our white mold really isn't a big problem in our area. Our main problem is iron deficiency or phytophthora, which is a root rot, so from the soils being real wet. But if I was going to plant like in April or 1st of May, I'd want to put some seed treatment on there. But when it's getting to be, it'll be my theory, according to Dean's analysis, you're not going to get it in the field till about the middle of May at the best. At that time, I won't put any seed treatment because normally we'll get enough heat where the plants will grow real fast, and then we don't have as much trouble.
See, and I got one more before I turn it over to these two. We're partnering up with Peterson Seeds with you for this project as well, which is very exciting. But I wanted to know why. Why do you choose Peterson Seed? Why them versus other seed distributors or sellers?
Well, like I say, I do have 2 others that I deal with too, but I live a mile away from Peterson, so it's very convenient. But also I do grow some seed for him, but he does his research in our area. He does it all over wherever he sells them, but he does research in our area, so he has really good genetics that will perform in our soil type, because soils vary so much in different parts of the state. But he has a very good research program for wherever he's selling the seed at.
Oh, there's going to be so many questions throughout this season for us, Jim. I mean, farmers are already talking about possible preventive plant, like if a field gets to be too wet and it can't get planted. Do you see that as a regular occurrence on any of your acres, or do you generally feel like, nope, I get planted and I feel really good about it?
Ideally, we like to get planted, but I had one field last year I prevent planted because it was just got too late. And
couldn't get there.
We've had some, I'd say I have a little bit of prevent plant, maybe 1 out of every 5 years on average, but generally no farmer likes to use prevent plant. We all desire to plant our crop. That's why we farm. We like to grow things.
That's what you're built for. Farmers like to gamble a little bit, and they like to plant a crop. That's the best part right there.
Yeah, that's why I don't need to go to Las Vegas, because we gamble much more than anybody that goes to Las Vegas every year.
Boy, that is so true. So very true. And with the field, are you thinking about what you're going to be doing down the road for rotation? And is it generally just a corn and a soybean rotation? Do you have some wheat in there as well that kind of breaks up your patterns when it comes to weed control or anything like that?
Yeah, corn and soybeans are our main crop, but I grow a little bit of wheat. We kind of quit for a few years because profitability wasn't very good, but with more weed resistance becoming the chemicals, with wheat you get a whole different field of chemistries that you can use for weeds. So I'm growing wheat partly for that, just to combat weed resistance with the chemicals.
So Jim, this is the big question that I've gotten from a pile of listeners. What do farmers do in the winter? What are they doing this time of the year if they're not out in the field?
I just asked him what he was doing this weekend. That's a perfect question.
Right now we have some machinery in the shop that we're working on, and a lot of times you line up your seed throughout the winter, and fertilizer, chemicals, we try to do as much of that ahead of time as we can, but we always got to take a vacation somewhere, so being we don't have cattle, so life's a lot nicer since I got rid of my cattle. I used to grow cattle way back, so.
And Jim, one last question here, because and I don't know if our boss asked you this, but are you sure you have enough insurance when you get either me or Justin behind the wheel on one of those combines. I mean, just want to make sure you're prepared for this.
You know, I haven't thought about that. I better talk to my insurance agent. That's a good reminder. But the auto steer will correct some of it, but you still have to wake up at the end to turn around.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, he's got to talk to his insurance agent. He's got to go talk to Steve. Yeah, man, I think we're going to have to pull the plug on this one.
We're going to need extra insurance with these two guys.
Steve never mentioned that in the beginning that you guys were going to drive when I talked to him.
Oh, you forgot to mention that. Well, that's part of the package.
But most importantly, you're not going to let us out in the field by ourselves. I mean, this is your farm, your equipment, Jim. You're going to want to make sure that we've got some supervision, or this is going to be like that movie Son-in-Law, and we don't want that.
Yeah, I mean, basically, we can train anybody to drive a tractor within 20 minutes with the auto steer and stuff. But by probably not in the spring, but by fall when we do tillage, I'd probably trust the guys to drive, make a round or two by themselves if they want to.
There we go.
I was just going to say, if you put the auto steer on and just set Dean in there, he won't know the difference. He'll think he's driving the tractor.
Hey, I'm doing pretty good at this.
Hey, man, these rows are perfect. Jim, I want to know, and obviously this is ultimately just going to come down to how well this summer goes and the fall. If we're happy, you're happy. If we do this again next year, which I would more than like to do if the opportunity presents itself again. But what's next in your crop rotation? If we do this again, what would be next year's crop?
For that field, it'd be either wheat or corn. I guess it'll depend a little bit on economics, but it'd be rotated to one of those crops.
Well, corn is my favorite, and wheat is Bridget's favorite. So at least one of us will be happy.
Well, you gotta have wheat for beer. That should be one of your top ones too, Justin.
Yeah, there you go, grain belt.
Yeah, that's a great point. There is some wheat beers out there. Usually we think about barley. There's actually that hashtag, no barley, no beer. So we've got to keep that in mind.
But then there's the corn makes whiskey too, so.
Good point. Right. There you go.
Why isn't everybody farming? Well, Jim, this has been great. We're all looking forward to getting out in the field, and I know that we want to get out there at least to take a look at it. So maybe we can schedule that or pencil that in sometime soon and maybe try and trek through some water to go see that field. But I want to thank you for joining us, kind of explaining a little bit about how this whole partnership is going to work and giving your take on a few of these topics that we've discussed and everything. So I just wanted to say thanks for, one, giving us the opportunity to do this, and two, coming on our show and talking about it.
Well, thank you for having me on, and I appreciate your guys' pursuing this to hopefully the public will be better educated about agriculture in this area.
I think that's a big thing that we want to hit home is, food doesn't just show up. Someone's out there farming it, and how they're farming it. Well, we want to be able to show how it's actually happening and get rid of some of those, what would be the word, misconceptions on how it's done, the science behind it, and, one, have fun with it, but secondly, educate people on how the whole process works.
Amen. That sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
No problem.
Thanks, Jim.
Well, we're going to hit the American Ag Network. When we come back, we got a couple more ag topics. We'll take a look at the forecast, and I got one special ag topic I'm going to throw at Bridgette, so it'll be a curveball out of left field. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
He's big and he's bold, and he's hosting his new show, Carl Higbie Frontline, and it's only on Newsmax. After 9/11, Carl Higbie joined the Navy SEALs. He spent almost a decade fighting for America. Now Carl continues that fight every night on Newsmax. So tune in today for Carl Higbie Frontline. Get the latest on President Trump's next big move, Biden's most dangerous decision, and the inside story on Ron DeSantis. Then watch Newsmax's powerful lineup with Greta Van Susteren, Eric Bolling, Jen Pellegrino, Mike Huckabee, and more. Tens of millions have made the switch to Newsmax. I did. You should too. Newsmax never tells me how to think. It lets me decide. So make the switch today. Watch Newsmax. It's on all major cable systems. And download the free Newsmax app on your smartphone. Check out Carl Higbie Frontline tonight. You'll like it.
They'll have you laughing right along with them. They're Bonnie and Friends.
I have trouble without a picture menu at a Mexican restaurant. because they've got so many things to offer and I don't know. And then I'll describe it to them and they'll go, oh, that's a bingada bungada. Oh, good, that's what I'll take.
You should just ask for the children's menus. There are far fewer options. You'll get about 8 options. Just point at the chicken fingers and fries and you're good to go.
Thank you, Bonnie.
You're welcome.
Bonnie and Friends. Catch them weekday mornings beginning at 5.
It's the Let There Be Rock tribute concert to AC/DC, Poison, and ZZ Top. Saturday, April 22nd at the Bismarck Event Center. AC/DC by Bonfire. Bonfire's perfect recreation of AC/DC is amazing. A shot of Poison. This Poison tribute band is the real deal. And ZZ3, the best ZZ Top tribute band in the country. Doors open at 6 and the show starts at 7. Get your VIP packages, artist choice seating map and tickets at the Bismarck Event Center box office. Friday, April 21st. Or call now and buy over the phone. 800-514-3849. The Let There Be Rock tributes to AC/DC, Poison, and ZZ Top. April 22nd at the Bismarck Event Center. 800-514-3849. Don't miss it. Attention, all firearm collectors, firearms dealers, hunters, and other firearms enthusiasts. Dakota Territory Gun Collectors Association Gun Show will be in Wahpeton this weekend, April 22nd and 23rd, at the Wahpeton Event Center. There will be tables full of guns, ammo, and accessories on display. Buy, sell, swap, trade. You don't want to miss this. The Dakota Territory Gun Collectors in Wahpeton at the Wahpeton Event Center. This weekend, April 22nd and 23rd.
Pressure remains in the market trade. You're listening to the American Ag Network. I'm Jesse Allen with this market update. We are talking now with Arlen Suderman, Chief Commodities Economist at StoneX. Arlen, as we look at the trade on this Friday, we continue to see pressure here throughout the grain complex, corn, beans, especially wheat. I know started higher, in a sense, lost momentum here. Just feels like not a lot of news and the path of least resistance. We've said that before multiple times to the downside, it appears here today. What do you make of the grain trade?
Yeah, I think that's well said, and it has been the path of least resistance. And in the current environment, that's the downside. Not a lot of reason for anyone to stand in front of that right now. The forecasts seem to be opening up things for the Midwest for planting corn and soybeans. Yesterday's weekly export sales report was dismal pretty much across the board, and there's rains forecast for some of the dry areas of the southwestern plains. It may be too late, but the market is focused on those rains finally coming to that region here early next week. And so nothing really to give the bulls courage to stand in front of the selling amid the overall bigger picture, the market looking at recession fears and how that might create some demand destruction.
And once again, that is Arlen Suderman, Chief Commodities Economist at StoneX. As we look at the market trade, again, moderate pressure in corn, beans, and wheat. Really anywhere from about 7 to 13 lower in corn and wheat, and anywhere from 10 to 20 lower in beans. Cattle futures under moderate pressure ahead of this afternoon's cattle on feed report, with the hog trade up slightly here this hour. Crude oil up 54 cents a barrel, 77.91, and the Dow Jones down 60 points. You're listening to the American Ag Network. That's a check of the market trade here this hour. From the American Ag Network studios, I'm Jesse Allen reporting.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for rejoining us. It's 1:54 this afternoon. We just got done speaking with Jim Ueland. He's the partner that'll be joining us for the Here We Grow campaign, where we grow a crop and whatever we make on it, we're giving it to the food banks. So it's going to be a fun and educational video series that we do every week. If you want to follow along, you can find us on YouTube, Weather and Ag in Focus, as well as Facebook. We live stream on both of those platforms every single day, as well as our website, WDAYradionow.com. Before we went to break, a few teases we were going to be talking about. Take a look at the forecast. Got another ag topic, and I got a little curveball for Bridgette. And before I throw that pitch, I got to stretch and warm up. So, Dean, maybe if you want to run down the forecast for the next couple days into the weekend, let everyone know what they get to look forward to.
Chilly, breezy, snow melts next week. Back to you.
What you see outside's what you get. There
Yeah,
you
just
go.
a few.
Hey, what way is it raining?
Yeah, a few snow showers out there this afternoon. Even a few pockets of light rain. But other than that, we're looking at temperatures. And again, the roadways are already melting. The conditions improving, and we'll continue to see improving conditions through the weekend. Unseasonably chilly, though. You know, temperatures in the 30s to low 40s. Ugh. Yeah.
There you go. That's your forecast. Brought to you by Dean Wysocki.
Hey, for all of those who have gotten rain gauges, thank you. We're starting to get people trickling back in with information of what they're getting for moisture. So to Steve, who emailed us this week and said he had 0.19 inches of rain already in his gauge, keep that information rolling because, again, you guys use that not only on air, but with the National Weather Service, right?
We can relay that back to them. Absolutely. That helps out a lot. And I picked up about close to 0.7 of an inch with this last system melted down. So, more moisture.
Not bad.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad.
Not bad.
Let's dry things
All
out
right, well,
now.
I think I'm all. I think I'm stretched enough for this. We'll still see if I can botch it, but
this should be interesting.
I need to know, Bridgette, if you have any information or if you have heard of Two-Layer Lake.
Two-Layer Lake. Is that here in the United States
right.
somewhere?
It is.
Okay.
It's someone's gonna call in. Oh, you're butchered the name. That's not even how it's pronounced. All right, Two-Layer Lake. That's what I'm calling it. It's a freshwater dry lake in a residual wetland and marsh in southern San Joaquin Valley, California.
San
Two-Layer Lake.
Joaquin Valley.
What's it? There we go.
San
Thank
Joaquin
you.
Valley. Yep. Heavy vegetable production area.
The lake was once the largest freshwater lake west of the Mississippi and second largest lake entirely in the United States based on surface area. Well, due to record snowfall and moisture in California, that lake is re-emerging. It is reflooding, and there are concerns that it's going to continue to return and flood out a lot of that agricultural land out there.
You're going to need a bigger boat.
Yes, we are going to need a bigger boat. So I didn't know if you've heard of this lake before, if you've come across any articles about it. In between the breaks, I've been kind of trying to find some information, but nothing that I could scrounge up fast enough to read about. But I do know that there is flooding going on out there. There is the lake is returning. And there's some concerns with the amount of snow that's going to melt, which I believe was around 70 inches of liquid water equivalents coming out of the mountains, that this lake may take years to recede back down.
Okay, so I will have to now do some homework, thank you. But it sounds a lot like Devil's Lake, North Dakota. Because for those who don't remember, Devil's Lake originally was a giant inland lake. That's why towns like Church's Ferry was actually a point. It was a ferry point because the lake was large enough to ferry across it before we had all these roads. Then over time, the lake started to go down. It is a closed basin system, so all the water rolls to it. And with Devil's Lake in the late 80s, the joke was we had ducks that didn't know how to swim because there was so little water up there. Early 90s, rainfall started happening again. The lake has significantly risen and will again after this winter. So sounds similar. Let me see what I can find.
That's kind of interesting. Do I have enough time to tell this story? And I see it's 1:59. No, we have 30 seconds. I don't have time to tell the story. We'll hold it until Monday about Devil's Lake. But that'll do it for us here on Weather and Ag in Focus today. We thank you for joining us. You can always reach us via email during or after our shows at weatherorag@flagfamily.com. Remember, we live stream every day, Facebook and YouTube. Until then, everyone have a great weekend. We'll be back on Monday for Weather and Ag in Focus.
AM 9